warm welcome from my end to everybody to webinar number 3, Integrated Service Parts Planning with SAP S/4HANA eSPP. That is number 3 out of a webinar series of 4. And I'm really happy to have Guada on this webinar today from the SAP. So whenever you have a question, you can always drop us an email as well after the call. We can discuss at the end of this webinar, but you have our email addresses down here. And we are right in the middle of the introduction. That is the first point of the agenda. The second one is summary of the webinar 1 and 2. So if you missed the first 2 webinars, don't worry. It will be summarized in a couple of slides by Guada, what we did. We talk about the business case and the tactical and operational planning within SPP. And the agenda point number 3 is a main part of today's webinar. That is the multi-echelon optimization, how we use this multi-echelon optimization within eSPP. And in order to explain that, we will have an introduction to IBP for inventory optimization, because that is a tool that is executing the multi-echelon optimization. And we will learn and understand how the integration between these 2 modules is taking place. At the end of the webinar, we are going to have a Q&A section where we can answer your questions. If just in case, if we are running out of time, we will capture all the questions and we'll come back to you via email. And I'm going to give a little outlook to the next webinar at the end of this one here. And now I'm really happy to hand over to Guada for the summary of the last 2 webinars.
Okay, great. Thank you, Frank, and warm welcome from me to everyone. So to summarize the last 2 sections, especially during the first webinar, you heard about the financial benefits of an effective after-sales business. It contributes to the profit margin and business growth for manufacturers and also OEMs. And we spoke about the best way after-sales businesses can build long-term relationships, extend customers' loyalty, satisfaction, and grow their businesses, is to make sure that they have the right part in the right place at the right time. So an effective service parts planning solution helps customers lower their inventory costs while maximizing service level. This then brought us to the new embedded SAP S/4HANA Extended Service Parts Planning Solution, short for eSPP, onto SAP S/4HANA. So Frank, if you could go to the next one. So SAP will leverage our 20+ years of experience and invested considerable resources in building the new end-to-end service part planning solution in S/4HANA. The one-back architecture combined planning and execution onto one central platform with service parts planning, order management, advanced availability, and procurement tightly integrated. This provides a simpler solution with the ability to leverage the latest and greatest innovations, eliminate data inconsistencies, and provide faster operations. As you have heard also, eSPP is a network-based planning solution. The network-based planning solution provides transparency across the entire supply chain, right? And it manages complex and high volume processes as well as complex part supersession. During the first two webinars, Frank went on to detail about the various modules, such as capture and managing demand, that basically uses sales order and stock transport orders within S4 to build the forecast. If you look at all of the major processes in the middle of the slide. The inventory planning solution calculates the economic order quantity in combination with safety stock for each location product. And then we move on to distribution requirement planning. So for DRP, it determines demand for all location within the network. Also, deployment manages distribution of goods within also the network. As you can see, the theme here is that the solution manages your inventory planning by looking at all aspects of your network, from suppliers to distribution center, warehouses, and customers. So it's an end-to-end comprehensive solution that will help aftermarket businesses meet their goals. Some of the benefits of the business benefits are the transparency that it provides by being a network-based planning solution. So it provides transparency and real-time insight onto the physical inventory within the distribution network, and it allows you to make fast and efficient decision. The solution also plans service spots by calculating trade-off between inventory holding cost and service level, right? And we mentioned before many times, it manages different finished good with complex supersession, and also takes sporadic demand into consideration. And we all know how hard it is to manage sporadic demand. So in summary, the previous session demonstrate the core functionality and values that aftermarket businesses will realize by adapting the new extended service part planning solution within S/4HANA. So I will hand that over now to Frank to take us to the next module.
All right, thanks a lot, Guada. And that brings us to the next. Before I go to the next slide, the summary was great. I think you completely understood what we covered before. If you want to dive a little bit deeper into each of these 5 core functions, or 6, then you can always reach and view the webinars. They were recorded like this one, and you are able to watch them on our homepage again if you are interested in more details. But now we are coming to the collaboration between eSPP and IBP-IO. So the IBP for inventory optimization. I called it collaboration because these are still two tools which work quite well together. And if you attended the second webinar, you have seen already this slide, which I'm having here. I would like to introduce again or explain again a little bit. I'm putting a laser pointer. The left-hand side is the single echelon optimization for safety stock that is executed in the eSPP system. And there we are trying to find the optimized safety stock on each level separately. So that is convenient and reasonable, and giving us very good results for smaller companies, fewer distribution points, and not really complex bill of distributions or networks. So if you have only a 2-level bill of distribution or sometimes a 3-level, that comes up with very good results. But of course, it does have the disadvantage that the impact of the other levels cannot be taken into account for certain levels. or a certain level. And that is what multi-echelon optimization really can do. So in multi-echelon optimization, the impact of all echelons is considered during the calculation. And it is not calculating only how much stock we should keep in the network. That is calculated here as well on different levels, but it's calculating at the same time where we want to keep or we should keep that amount of stock. So it has two components, and therefore it really can add a value massively to your company or to the value of your inventory levels. Saying that, coming to the next slide, which is actually more information about IBP itself. IBP was not made for eSPP that we can use multi-echelon optimization. Is still a standalone product that is on the market for quite a while and implemented quite often, not only in the after-sales market. And therefore it has already a couple of years runs stable. And the idea behind is that we have two products on the market and we can use some of the processes and functionalities of the IBP module for eSPP purposes. And that is the second functional or business process actually is that multi-echelon optimization that we use out of these IBP, different processes of the IBP for inventory. There are 4 other main processes. So if you have implement IBP for inventory, you can add an additional point of view to your planning, the financial point of view. So the financial point of the inventory plan and inventory planning is important as well, because you need to deal with budgets and so on. And that part is not covered in the eSPP world. So we are not dealing with budgets and financial plans in the eSPP. That can come into the picture using IBP. And there are 3 functions more. You can free up the working capital by eliminating excess inventory, and that more or less goes in the direction that you're handling the target, not the target service level, but the influencing factors that influence our inventory levels, like lead time variation, supply uncertainties. These kind of simulations and different indicators, influencing factors can be analyzed, simulated, and then leading to a better inventory planning on the IBP side. And we can improve process-wide the on-time performance of your supply chain, and that goes into the direction of the target service level that is used as an input. But of course, it can be measured and calculated, and you would like to know if the target service level I would like to reach, if I do really reach that. And that, of course, is leading to an performance improvement. And the last process is a collaborative one, because you can use the IBP to collaboratively work on the inventory plan, not only on the safety stock, but on the whole inventory plan. Most of the time there are different point of views for the inventory planning. So the customer service, of course, would like to have 100% service levels. The financial department or the finance department usually want to have a certain budget not overgone. So there are different perspectives of the inventory planning, and you can use the IBP as a collaborative tool to do what-if scenarios, simulations, to discuss changes in your supply chain. That is a functionality that is, or a process that is not in eSPP available as well. So aside the function or the process we make use of from IBP, there are some other aspects that might make sense to look into IBP as well. And going from the process to the more functional side, I did talk about the multi-stage inventory optimization, or multi-echelon inventory optimization. What is actually, or that is actually the same, just a different wording. That will be, we will see that in a minute in the system, how that is executed and how that works. And underneath we have robust statistical models that are in the market for quite a while, couple of years. They have proven that they are working in a really great manner, and they are put in a so-called application function library. That is something that will be used later on from different modules as well. Functional wise, there is a forecast error management in place. You can calculate different errors, MAP, MAPE, and what we are using, or what is required for the multi-echelon optimization, is the coefficient of variation as an error. We'll see how that looks like in a minute in the system. And you do have embedded analytics in IBP as well. That is not available on eSPP, so we have a reporting place, but not really embedded analytics. Of course, IBP can only visualize and analyze the data that are in the IBP system. When we go to the next level, what we are planning to show you in webinar 4 as well, is already an outlook, is a SAP Analytics Cloud, where that is an analytics tool that can be connected and can even cover a much broader horizon than these embedded analytics. But however, it's still a good function and option to visualize your supply chain and win quick gains for your inventory drivers. All right, where's my mouse? It's here. And I think that is the last slide on the IBP itself, because we are not doing an IBP webinar or IBP training in that sense. But one point is very important, that these are the what-if scenarios. So a simulation function that is really great, if you ask me. There are only limited simulations on eSPP, so it's on the roadmap to really get improved on the eSPP side, but it's already in place on the IBP end, and it's really well, easy to handle, user friendly, and gives great results. Just as a little example, what another customer did. So there was an supplier that was able to supply the same product, but it was a little bit more expensive. But this supplier was closer to the entry location of our network, and you can easily simulate these kind of scenarios in a scenario in the IBP system. So you can place a different supplier, change the price of the goods, and then simulate the safety stock run and see how that will influence your inventory in your whole network, just as an example. And on the right hand side, you do see the little analytics. We will see some of these analytics in the system as well in a minute. So just as a rough idea what IBP is, what all the function that can be covered with IBP, and we just pick out one piece of that and make use in eSPP of that multi-echelon optimization. All right. The next, I'd like to talk about the data preparation and extraction. So how would this system landscape look like? We have on our left-hand side the S4 with the eSPP sitting on the S4. And of course, that is a key engine for the service parts planning. In this box, we have so-called staging tables. These tables are used for the communication and integration with IBP. So the information from the staging tables are transferred into the cloud integration for data service, so CIDS. And there you can filter, adjust, massage the data if you need to, if you want to, and from there it goes into the IBP for inventory optimization. When you are a little bit familiar with IBP, that is the usual way how the data are getting into the cloud, into the IBP cloud. That is via this cloud integration for data services. So not only IBP for inventory is using that technology or process, so as well IBP for demand sending or supply modules for IBP are using these technique, and we make use of that as well within eSPP. It is straightforward to set it up. These are, of course, you need to do some stuff, some settings in order to make that up or bring that alive. But it's a quite nice and well standardized interface actually. On the IBP end, you need to set up a planning area and the key figures. You need to align the time profiles because eSPP, you can plan on forecasts, for example, in weekly or in monthly buckets. And IBP always is using weekly buckets. So these needs to be aligned. You need to create a profile for the error calculation. So you need to tell the system how the error should be calculated, the coefficient of variation. And you need to create an optimizer profile for the multi-echelon optimizer run. On the SPP side, on the eSPP side, it's quite simple. You have an integration profile that is more or less a selection of the products you want to run for multi-echelon. And then you have a pre and a post processing to fill the staging tables and to write back from the staging table into the database tables. And on the CPI side, we have to implement 8 different data flows. The 7 first ones are in the direction from eSPP into IBP. They're covering 6 of them master data, and the last one is for the key figures that we need to transport to the transfer to the IBP. And the safety stock key figure is the process flow for the outbound. So if you have never seen IBP before, I just have a couple of slides in the presentation, but we will see all of that in a second in the system. It's a normal standard Excel add-on. Excel add-on is the user interface for IBP, and if you connect, you have such a additional ribbon, sub IBP, in your standard Office Excel. And then you can do different things, different functions. You can look at master data that got transferred from eSPP. You have here the operators, the error calculation, the multi-echelon optimization, and you have so-called templates, which we will see in a second. These are more or less planning views. What do you want to see? What the different customers would like or planners would like to see. So call. The next slide is just a drill down or deeper dive into that. So if you do a run, you have certain parameters you can how you can control the optimization run or the forecasting run. And on the left hand side, this is a kind of a planning view. Just as an impression, we will see that in a second in a system anyway. And that, I think, brings us to the demo. So what can you expect to see? Yeah, I will show the data a little bit, run an error calculation, or show that the error calculation did run. We'll do the multi-echelon optimization, and after that we are doing a comparison of the safety stock from eSPP with IBP. Saying that, I'm going to jump to the Excel from the presentation, and you have seen that already in the slide deck. We have this additional ribbon here, and I'm logging on to our IBP system that is hosted by SAP in the cloud, and hope it's up and running. All right, I'm already connected to it, and now we have these different actions that we can take. So we have a direct connection to the IBP cloud using our Excel. And first, I'm going to show you some of the master data that we were showing in the first couple of, or in the first two webinars, and that we transferred now into IBP. So I choose a location and the product location. So some or location product, some meaningful master data I can show, and the demand stream, yes. And if I push the OK button, the data are pulled directly from the cloud into my Excel. And if you took part in the first webinars, you see exactly the same location that we are having in eSPP and that we will see in the second presentation today, or demo today. The V up front of the locations representing the virtual childs. So the concept of the virtual child got explained in the first webinar. So whenever a location has a child location underneath and is delivering to a customer directly as well, it's called a virtual child. So it has to take care about the demand of the lower location and for the demand of their own world, and this demand is taken care as a virtual child. Just to explain a little bit what you are seeing here. And on the location products, we see that for each of these location, we have created all the 9 products that we were using in our webinar 1 and 2. So they are existing, all are existing in the IBP world as well, and they have different parameters. So I could scroll to the right. Whatever we transferred is visible here as well. So you do see, for example, the echelon. So is it on the first, second, or third level of our bill of distribution, and so on. You see if it's stocked or non-stocked, the material, and so on. Some information are not filled because we don't need that for our process. And demand stream as a last piece of master data I'm going to show is, for example, the target service level that got transferred from eSPP as well. We are setting up to 95% service level at the moment for our demo. But as you can see here, that can be maintained for each product location combination. Probably important to just mention the customer group, because IBP in general, you can choose your own planning level. In eSPP world, we always plan on product location level. in IBP, you can create different planning levels, and therefore we need to create a certain customer because that is required on the IBP side. All right, going to the operators or functions that we can activate. For example, here the error calculation. I told you that we created the error calculation profile, and at the moment, for example, we have this error calculation scheduled as a job, and this is calculating the error CV every Monday morning, 7 o'clock, automatically in the background. And that is the way you usually use the IBP system. You schedule everything in the background, the same as on the eSPP side, and let it run whenever it's suitable for you. And I'm closing that because we have already calculated the error CV some days ago. And the same is the case for the planning runs. So we can schedule that and we can run it. I'm not doing it right away because I'd like to show some templates first, but that is, for example, where you execute the multi-stage inventory optimization for all of these product locations. Templates, as I said, is more or less the different planning views. So how you would like to use and to see the data and to see the key figures and so on. So you can really define your own UI here. We more or less have fixed UIs in the eSPP world, and here you have a lot of functions and options to customize your views and how it should look like. And I'm starting with the first one, that is the eSPP error forecasting version 1 as a template that I created within here. So whenever you open a template, a new Excel is opening, and it took a while this time. And that is, for example, a view that we created. We are not talking about the master data this time. We're talking about the key figures. And this view contains the history or the demand key figure that we transferred in from eSPP to the IBP world, and the calculated error forecast of forecast error. So, as you can see here, that is calculated every week, and this forecasting error is taken into account for the actual optimizer run. And you can use all the standard Excel functions that you know. So if you like Excel, you will like these user interfaces as well. It's in this view, for example, I have all product locations in scope, and this time I'm going to edit the view and change only or filter, set a filter, for example. So you can adjust the view as you wish with attributes, different periods, different key figures, layout, and a filter. And I'm just placing a filter on the product ID that it's easier to read. So I'm concentrating for the demo on one part only. So, and then it's applying the filter, and you see now only for one product, everything is shown. I'm running the advanced or the multi-echelon optimization. I just wanted to show you how that is done. So as you can see here, you can run different operators. We this time would like to run the multi-stage inventory optimization, but you can as well calculate the target inventory components. That is what I was telling you before. So the influencing parameter can be calculated and visualized here as well. You can even do a single stage inventory optimization, so where you are just looking on each stage separately, not having the multi-echelon aspect in it, but this time we are going for the multi-stage inventory optimization. And here we can say that that is a little bit a part of a collaboration. We can say why we run it. So because the change in cost, I can put a comment and I can share the results and with somebody else, for example. And that is how you can collaborate within that tool. And now we simply let it run. System tells me, okay, I created the background job and it's running right now. It roughly takes a minute, something like that. Meanwhile, I can scroll to the right and can focus again that the planning, the periods are in weeks. On the eSPP side at the moment, we plan in months, but of course you have the chance in eSPP to go on weekly planning level as well. So, and the forecast that we calculated in eSPP was calculated until week 5 of next year. So almost 12 periods are covered. Yeah, for some locations, we already have months longer calculated. And that is what we did transfer from eSPP. Checking on a second if our run is already through. You can always check the status, and as we can see here, it was very fast, already through, so it's finished today, 1 minute ago. I can close that. And one way, for example, to visualize the key figure is just create another planning view or just edit this one and take the additional key figure into account. So just go to planning view again and just take the additional key figure, recommended safety stock. Not sure if the filter is still applied. Yes, put OK. I think if I choose a different key figure in my example, it's still applied. Okay. So now you simply have the recommended safety stock for each product location visible here as well. So for SPP2, for example, these are the values that are for the safety stock on every week that comes out of the optimizer run. Of course, this is not really handy or usable, and therefore I prepared a different planning view as a template, going to this one here, and that shows, I need to hurry a little bit. That shows, hopefully it shows, yes, it shows the aggregated safety stock values for our product eSPP 004. So because we plan on the eSPP side in monthly buckets, I aggregated that to monthly values. We see the monthly values for each product location for the next year. And what I did as well is I did manually. I didn't automated that one. I pulled over the calculated safety stock for that part for the results we got from the eSPP in order to make a comparison. So this tab here is showing now the comparison between the multi-echelon optimized values. This is this one here, these ones here, and the single echelon calculated in eSPP. And then I put just the difference of it. So I used normal standard Excel functionality to calculate the differences. And as you can see here, overall, we have a 27% less safety stock using multi-echelon optimization. There are 2 months where the multi-echelon is not better than the eSPP. I didn't really investigate, but that is something where you can now deep dive into it and try to optimize further. And as I can see here, that 0 is wrong because there is a difference, and that is a wrong formula here. And as you can see, you can really simple use all Excel functionality that you're having. So actually we are 14% better in May as well on the multi-echelon side. And that is what I wanted to show you on the eSPP, on the IBP side. Just a short glimpse what you can do and how it's working. So it's only one little piece of the full IBP module that we are using here. Going back to the presentation for 2 or 3 slides, we need to bring what we calculated in IBP back into eSPP, of course. How are we doing that? We're filling the staging table via our cloud integration. And then we have a planning service that is picking it up from here, that you have certain different controls. You can do it with or without approval. You can set a threshold. You can control what if we had 0 before, what should the system do with the first time calculated safety stock, and you maintain the number of periods you want to integrate and which time series the system should write it to. And if we do that, we see an additional key figure in the eSPP. So you remember, hopefully, the user interface for EOQ, how it looks like. And in that user interface, we are getting a new key figure with the safety stock that is calculated in IBP and transferred back into the eSPP world. And a little demo on this end as well. We will look into the economic order quantity and safety stock user interface. We see the imported safety stock, and we can compare and show how we will import the safety stock and then see how the difference look like. Saying that, going back to the system, this time I need to log on to the SPP system, and we log on to the S/4HANA system. Need to pull that over here as well. Log on. So here you can see the SPP system, eSPP system. Logging on it. Oops, what's now? I'm locked, no. So and here we are going to start with the user interface for EOQ safety stock. We take the same product that we did see in the ESP on the IBP side. We have here all our locations, our bill of distribution where this product belongs to, and we would like to import the safety stock for the location number. Where's my mouse? Here it is, for SPP5. And as you can see here, we don't have this key figure that I was shown in the demo slides in that location at all. I did integrate that already for SPP4. And here you can see this separate key figure. And according to my service profile, which I plan to show, but I skipped, we don't have any approval in place. We just bring it straight into the key figure that is relevant for the next planning processes. So saying that, again, remember on SPP5, we don't have this key figure available yet. Going into the table directly where CPIDS or CIDS is writing to. We look if we already have the values because I started CIDS shortly before the webinar, and this we transported the information for that part, that location, and for the next 12 months into that table. These are the values, and hopefully the same values that we are seeing on the eSPPs on the IBP side. So yes, it looks like system did not calculate new values and we did transfer the right ones. And then I simply run the background service that is usually run based on a scheduled run. I do that now manually. So I meanwhile have quite a lot of planning profiles in our system, and write back safety stock in the webinar. I execute this one here. And as you can see down here, it ended successfully. And now going back to our safety stock planning user interface for the same part and the same location. And now you can see the new key figure on that location with the new values that were calculated in IBP based on multi-echelon, and it is transferred directly into the location's own safety stock. And then, of course, can be taken into account for DRP and deployment and so on, inventory balancing. All right, going back to the demo, I have only one slide left before we come to the Q&A section. And that slide is actually a very interesting one and shows that SAP is working tremendously on the roadmap of eSPP. So there are a lot of functions that are in the pipeline. For example, a new completely forecasting algorithm, leading indicator forecast, is coming soon, and simulation options coming soon, and as well the use of the multi-echelon optimization for the inventory is coming end of the year. So the application function library will be available on the S4 and not only on the IBP cloud, so that we can use the multi-echelon optimization without the interface if we want to. So if you only want to use the IBP functionality of multi-echelon optimization, you can do that by the end of the year or latest beginning of next year within eSPP without setting up IBP and setting up the interface. But of course, then you miss all the other functions of IBP, the what-if scenarios, for example, the simulations, the collaboration on different scenarios. That is then not available, of course. So the financial point of view, the budget perspective, if you want to still have that, then you still, of course, should need or should implement IBP along with eSPP to make use of these additional functions and processes. All right, I think that was all I wanted to share with you today. I hope you got just an idea what IBP for inventory optimization look like, how it works, how it's integrated into eSPP, and why it makes sense to do it. Actually, you can really lower your safety stock while keeping the service level at the same, at least. Sometimes it's already improving or it's as well improving the service level even. The next webinar is showing the integration to SAP Analytics Cloud. So the analytics and let's say steering and controlling parameter for eSPP within eSPP are limited to eSPP values. So with SAP Analytics Cloud, you have the chance to bring all other modules. If you have warehousing, if you have transportation management in place, you can use the Analytics Cloud to collect all the data from all the modules and really can control and steer your after sales planning in real time. And that is a little interface, a standardized interface from eSPP to SAP Analytics Cloud that we are going to show. And that the date is beginning of April, so a little bit more than a month. We will have the webinar number 4 out of 4. So at the moment, the last one, not sure if we are. There are so many new functions that I did not cover because SAP is working on the roadmap that we might add some webinars in mid of the year, for example, 5 and 6, showing the new functionalities in eSPP as well, depending on the interest and on the feedback of the first 4 months. So again, thanks for participating the webinar. I would close the presentation and jump back to the GoToMeeting to see if we have some questions that we can answer and how it looks like. Well, I stop sharing and I jump back to the questions and to the chat. For IBP.io collaboration, do we need to implement SAP IBP separately or can we implement directly into S/4HANA? So the clear answer on this one, you have to implement IBP separately because IBP is only running on the cloud. S/4HANA can be on-premise or on the cloud, but you do have to set up IBP separately in the cloud. Clear answer on that question, is not running directly in S/4HANA. But as I said, or as I told at the end of the presentation, if you want to use only the multi-echelon optimization, end of the year, that can be done without the rest of the IBP implementation. All right, the next one is, do we need to set up all master data and forecast and other relevant prerequisites for IBP for inventory in SAP IBP as well? No, clear answer is no. Everything is integrated. The master data and the forecast are coming from eSPP. The only thing that you need to set up is the forecast error profile. So you need to, of course, a planning area itself, but that is a copy and paste exercise from SAP Standard. And even myself, which I'm more the expert on the SPP and eSPP side than on the IBP side, but even I could set up the IBP side quite easily. So it is not really a problem. It works really like this. You might need a little bit help on the forecast error profile, but that's it. And then even the optimizer profile is quite easy to set up. So I could do all the setup for the demo and execute it, and with marvelous results. So you don't need to be an IBP expert. If you want to use the other functions and processes and all of that, then you might need help of an IBP expert. All right, is there a standard integration to integrate relevant prerequisites data from eSPP to IBP? Yeah, that is totally automated. The staging table are set up. The report that is executed in the background. The only thing you need to define is the selection. So the product locations you want to move over to eSPP to IBP and where you want to execute the multi-echelon. So it's standardized. You do not really need to do anything, or you need to do a little bit but not much. as one or two more. How does IBP for inventory results influence eSPP inventory planning results, as both are calculated separately in different systems and probably have different algorithms, calculations engines behind? So the clear result or the clear answer on that one is, if you decide to use the calculated safety stocks from the IBP, that for sure overrides the eSPP values that you calculated. You usually do not run the multi-echelon on every bit of your whole network, so you can use it both ways. So when you do not want to do the effort for multi-echelon optimization in one of your bill of distributions, then simply don't do it. Do it for the rest, and for the ones where you did not do it, it's still the relevant value for safety stock is the ones that you calculated in eSPP. But as soon as you move to IBP and use multi-echelon and you import that back, that overrules the eSPP value and is taken into account for the next processes. Can we define bespoke function or operators within IBP? Yes, you can adjust and you can design and influence the operators in the IBP world as you wish. I simply use the standard ones, but if you want to have different influences, like supply variation. At the moment, we are using only the demand variation, but of course, all the other parameters can be influenced, and you can even copy the standard operator and implement additional key figures. But for that, of course, you need to be an IBP expert, or you need to pull an IBP expert on board. What I showed today can be done by an eSPP colleague as well. Can safety stock calculated by IBP directly be used in DRP and deployment? The answer is, of course, yes. If you integrate it back and put it into the key figure that I shown, locations own safety stock in the EOQ and safety stock UI, then exactly the value that what was calculated in IBP is taken into account for DRP and deployment and so on. So that was the last question. I'm really happy. If you just in case, so we have 1 minute left, in case if you have further questions regarding licenses or roadmaps or whatever, please send us an email. So everything regarding to the roadmap and licensing will be answered by Guada. And functional wise, you can always drop me an email and I will come up quickly and answer that. So from my end, very big thanks to all the crowd. Hope to see you on webinar number 4 in a month. And the last words goes to Guada. Thanks a lot from my side.
Thank you, Frank. That was a really great session. And thank you, Meng, for organizing everything. And we just want to thank everyone for attending this session today. Very informative. So as Frank mentioned earlier, if you have any questions about any license or any roadmap question, please feel free to contact me. My information is at the beginning of the deck. So thanks again, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Take care and stay healthy. Cheers. Bye-bye.